everyone. I'm Angeline and she's Resa, and we welcome you to season 1, episode 102 of With the Quickness.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Yes. Now, today, we're going to be sharing our takeaways from the May 29, 2022 sermons of Pastor T.D. Jakes of the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, and of Reverend Dr. Dante Arquick of the First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey. Okay, Resa, what were your takeaways from this Sunday's sermons?
So my takeaway from this Sunday's sermon was that to trust and surrender to God because we are in a spiritual war.
Okay, so that's the one that you got from Reverend Dr. Dante Quick's church. My message from that sermon was, Jesus is in the boat with us. You need to rest in Jesus. Okay, now from the pulpit of the Potter's House, what was your big takeaway?
So my big takeaway is that God is going to restore everything that you have lost as long as you trust in him.
Okay, my big takeaway was whatever you do for Christ will last. It's an investment when you partner up with Christ. We're going to talk more about those sermons a little later in the show, but right now we're going to go and talk to Resa about what's on her playlist for this week. Resa?
Okay, so today's playlist is a very important song of the week. It is by my favorite artist of all time, Mariah Carey. Case in point, I'm wearing a shirt today that is Mariah Carey at McDonald's. The song is called Heavenly, No Ways Tired. It is from her 13th album, which was titled Me, I Am Mariah, the Elusive Chanteuse. It came out in 2014. It actually features a very special guest. It's actually a tribute to Reverend James Cleveland. For those of you that may recognize the name, Reverend James Cleveland was actually a mentor to the late great Aretha Franklin. He was featured in her 2021 movie Respect. He's actually responsible for her gospel album, which came out in 1972 called Amazing Grace. And Mariah took a sample of his sermon and she put it in her song. The sample of his sermon was called God's Promise. And basically the song is about not giving up when you are going through trying times. And there is a gospel verse that Mariah sings in the song. She says, the Lord is close to the broken heart and saves those who are crushed in spirit, which is Psalms 34:18. So it's a really inspirational song. And this is not the first time that Mariah has done a gospel song. She has done a lot of gospel songs throughout her career, but I'm hoping that one day she will do a gospel album, hopefully.
A complete gospel album would be perfect for, especially the diva of Christmas. I mean, she is all things Christmas, and what's better than celebrating the life of Christ at Christmas time if she comes out with a gospel album. So that's great.
For those of you that would like to send me any suggestions or playlists, please email me at playlist@withquickness.com. Again, that is playlist@withquickness.com. You can send me any song suggestions that you have or any playlist that you think that I should listen to.
All right, great. Thank you. Hopefully our listeners and those that watch us will be able to do that for you. We would really like to hear more about the different types of Christian music that are out there and share their list. If you have a Spotify account, that'll be great because we can list it up there next to our Spotify. All right. So now we're going to get to the bulk of our show, which deals with the sermons that are given at the Potter's House and at First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens. Now, this Sunday, Reverend Dr. Dante Quick invited a guest to speak to his congregation. The speaker was Reverend Kamaria Byrd-McAllister from Herd AME Church. The scripture that she referred to was from Mark chapter 6, verses 30 to 32 in the New International Version of the Bible. It dealt with and the title is Get in the Boat. Now, what did you think when you first heard that title, Resa? What did you think she was going to talk about?
My initial thought when she said to get in the boat, I immediately thought of Noah and the boat that he built. And she did briefly touch upon that. Mm-hmm. So I was, I felt like I kind of knew it, like what she was going to say, but not really, because she was focusing on using the boat as a place of refuge and as a place of rest that we should all go to while we are in this trying time.
Well, I know I thought it was it's going to be a Noah story too, until I looked at the scripture, but the title itself, it did make me think that she's going to tie it somewhere into Noah and the ark, because that's the biggest boat there was, right? But she actually used the boat as saying to us, the boat is like for transformation and restoration. Jesus encouraged all of his followers to get into the boat and to rest. She went on into her sermon, and her main point at the beginning was saying, get some rest to the congregation. I think it was good that she was our guest pastor, because she's actually poured that same message into Pastor Quick, who's been doing so much for the church as he is taking on this mantle, and he's about to be installed. So for her to not only feed into his flock by telling us to get some rest, I think she was also giving a message to him. What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly think that she was, because again, he is about to be installed next month. And that's honestly, once you take on a job like that, it is going to be very tiresome, but it is very rewarding. But you definitely need to rest up before you do something like that.
Definitely. She said in her sermon, there's a war going on, a spiritual battle, so you need to get your rest. The emotionally tired and spiritually drained, those people need to get in the boat. They need to rest, because resting is necessary, because the Lord needs you. He needs you for these battles that are going on in our society, in our families, on the job place. Do you feel sometimes that right now at this time in America, we are just like, you're feeling drained or very tired? Did she tap into anything when she was talking like that?
Yeah, I feel like given like what has just happened, like this week alone, uh, with the deaths that happened in Texas. And I just want to send my deepest condolences to all the families that, unfortunately had to deal with that directly. Like, it is very draining to turn on the news and always hear about something else. First it was Buffalo, now it's Texas. And it does make you kind of worrisome to wonder like what's going to happen next.
And it does feel like a spiritual battle. I give my condolences also to all of those that lost loved ones in both of those massacres. But I understand the whole premise of her bringing up this, for having her say to us, because a lot that's weighing not only on the victims and the families, but also on our nation to be going through this again. I mean, we had things that happened at schools before. We had things that happened at concerts. We've had things that happened in movie theaters. The shootings keep going on and on and on. And it seems to be nothing in legislation that is giving us any relief in sight. But she did bring it home and said there's three major elements that we need to focus on. She said relief is in the boat, faith is in the boat, and grace is in the boat. She started with relief, saying basically it's important for us to rest and set boundaries for our health, because she said our anger, our pain, and our grief need to be dealt with so that we can get some relief. Have you ever felt in your life like you had to stop and say, I need to start making boundaries in order to have better mental health and better spiritual health?
Yeah, I had that happen. I want to say October of this year, late October into November. Yes. I just hit a point where I was just burnt out mentally, physically, and I had some birthday parties to go to that I actually ended up canceling, and I didn't go. I didn't really explain why I wasn't going. I just said I just couldn't do it, but it was just the fact that I just couldn't. I needed to break away, and I needed to reset. Like, I needed to do a hard reset, because I yet again had fallen into the trap of burnout, which is a real thing.
Burnout is such a real thing for those that are working at home or working a hybrid where they're going into the office and have duties and responsibilities at home at the same time, or those that went back to work full time. It is very stressful to just have the whole pandemic even just weighing on us as world citizens, right? We have it just weighing on all of us. Every time you turn around, you're wondering if the numbers went up. Do I wear a mask here? Do I not wear a mask here? Is this cold I have, is it allergies, or is it, corona? There's a lot of stuff that mentally makes us feel kind of ragged right now. So I totally get what you're saying. She went on to talk about faith in the boat. She said, deal with anyone that's dealing with their faith. They got to worry about dealing with any kind of godlike complex. When you're going around thinking it's all about you and people doing what you need them to do, instead surrender to the will of God. And it's God's will what needs to be done. Have faith that he's going to take care of you in the boat. And the last part, she's talking about grace in the boat. We are blessed that we are served. We're serving a God of grace that understands that we are not perfect, that he is still there for us, and he still covers us. We're covered with the blood of, our elder brother, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now, even though she had 3 elements, she said there's actually 4 before she started ending. She said, oh, there's actually 4. Do you remember what she said the 4th one was?
I don't. I'll be honest.
It was Christ. It was Christ. She said Christ is in the boat. She said relief is in the boat, faith in the boat, grace in the boat. And the last one was Jesus is in the boat with us. All of us need to rest in him to get a proper rest. She said it's better than a spa. Do you feel that since you've accepted, Christ into your life, that it has been more of a rest for your spirit? Do you feel that way as a rededicated Christian?
Absolutely. I definitely feel that by me seeking refuge in God, there's actually one of my new favorite Bible verses, which is Psalms 91. There, I can't remember the exact verse number, but there is a verse where it basically says, if you cover yourself in his wings, that you will seek refuge. And I do feel like that ever since that I have given myself back to Christ, like I don't have to do life alone per se. Like he is always with me, and just to know that it actually takes some of the pressure and some of the anxiety off of me, because sometimes when I'm so focused on the future and what needs to be done, I can get very anxious, or if I'm trying something new, I can get anxious because it's the fear of the unknown. But just to take a beat and just to pray about it, it actually brings me a type of peace, like an inner peace.
Oh, great. That's so good to know. That's so good to know. Please visit the YouTube channel FBC Somerset if you're interested in listening to Reverend Kamaria Byrd-McAllister's sermon for this Sunday. Let's go on now to the Potter's House. Now, Bishop T.D. Jakes had a guest minister. It's actually a minister from within his own congregation, Pastor Dr. Cynthia James, speaking to the congregation this Sunday. I guess because Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, is a great time for both reverends to take time off. What do you think about that, Resa?
So I actually have some great news.
Oh, you do?
So there's a reason why Pastor T.D. Jakes was not here this Sunday. Shaunie O'Neal and I believe his name is Keion Henderson. They actually just got married in Anguilla, and T.D. Jakes officiated the wedding. So congrats to them. So that's why he was not here this Sunday. I know next Sunday, his daughter, Sarah Jakes, will be preaching. So I'm excited for her sermon, but that's why he wasn't here today.
Oh, that's great news. I know both of us have listened to Pastor Henderson at the Potter's House giving his sermon. And he actually gave his before we had With the Quickness available to everyone. So we couldn't actually put that episode up there, but he did a wonderful job preaching at the Potter's House, to the point where we were both left on, our spirits were on fire. So for him to be united in marriage with Shaunie O'Neal right now, we give them the most congratulations. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. And that's where Pastor T.D. Jakes said he's still working. No matter where he is on Sunday, he's either giving a word, or he's giving a blessing, or helping people, in some way, shape, or form. I know he does take time off, but it wasn't this weekend. This weekend, he was still a man of God working. Hopefully he got some rest. Him and First Lady got some rest over there in that wonderful, they're in the islands, you said?
Yes, they are in Anguilla. Anguilla is a really good place to have to work at. So
yeah, I'm really hoping it's like another honeymoon for them or something. I hope they have a great time and have great experiences. I know Shaunie was trying to keep a small wedding. It might have been kind of big, but I know she was trying to keep it under 50 at one point. I think she's over that, but hopefully it was really, really nice, really, really nice. But thank you for bringing that to my attention. Now, going into the Potter's House, since Pastor Dr. Cynthia James was speaking, she did her sermon. It's called Return on Investment. And the scriptures that she referred to was Kings, 2 Kings, chapter 4, verses 8 through 37. She also touched a little bit on chapter 8 through 5. I'm sorry. She also touched a little bit on chapter 8, verse 5 of the King James Version. The whole theme of it was basically Elijah had restored the life of the Shunammite's son. So when she was talking about return on investment, she said it meant, and that phrase means the cost of what you put into something is restored to you more than what it was before. Now, you are gifted to receive a blessing from God, she said. You're going to make the impossible happen. And if there are some voids or areas that you still need working on, the Spirit of God will fill those areas. What did you think about it when she first started speaking, when she said return on investment, Resa?
Well, when she first started that up, I was a little like, I don't know where we're going with this. Is it going to be like a money investment? I didn't know if I was going to get like tips about how, like, if I did decide to do some type of like money investment, how I can get a really great return on it. So I thought something like that. But obviously it wasn't about money. It was more so about like the spiritual repayment.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's a great play on words, because you definitely have people like holding, with bated breath going, well, what is she going to say exactly? Because we all want to tip on some money wisdom. We really want some great money tips. So she's about to give it from the pulpit. We all kind of lean forward like, what's she about to say? Which was very cute, very nice. She definitely had a good way of tagging us in without over preaching, without, being boisterous. She just did it in her own little quiet way with that title. And it's going, huh? She said, God works. God can give you a blessing that you were too shy to ask for, she said. Sometimes a substitute won't work and only God will deliver, something like that. What do you think of that? Do you think, has that been manifested in your life in some way, that he'll bless you in a way for something that you didn't even ask for because you're too shy to ask?
Yeah, that is pretty much on it's on point. Like that is something that he will do, because I would say for myself, I am like a generally shy person, and I don't always voice what I want from God. But then sometimes, even though I don't voice it, he does give me what I need, and he does give me more times than not what I actually desire, and I don't really say it sometimes.
That's so true. She said that she had asthma. She gave a little story about when she had asthma and they had to do an intubation on her. But in the end, I'm not going to give it away. I want those to actually take the time to listen to her sermon to hear that part. In the end, she did say, God, our God is a good God. And I can't dispute that whatsoever. I totally can think of many a times when I was too shy to ask for something I needed, or I was in a health need with him and he was there. He was in the room those times. She also went on and said, the seed of your investment comes from God. Going back into the return on investment, she kind of tied it back in. Whatever you do in Christ will last. It's an investment every time you partner with Christ to do things. Like have a prayer life and keep him in the decision, which is hard because sometimes you think, well, I know what I'm gonna do, and you want to go on and do it. And they're like, no, make sure it's a partnership going on. Say, Lord, I'm thinking about doing this, but what will your will be? Or what do you believe I should do in the situation? How do you feel about that? Putting Christ in the decision.
It can definitely save you on some money by praying on, asking for God. Like, unfortunately, before this point of my life, I feel like the times that I was really calling on God was when I was making a big purchase, whether it was like getting a newer car or maybe starting a new job. And like I was definitely praying to say like, okay, let this be the right move, because I don't want to take that step. And then all of a sudden everything falls apart. So yeah.
She also even gave a little story or showed a small news clip about people that bury money in the earth. Like in the past, especially in your great grandma's days, when you wanted to hold on to something, some kind of treasure, you kind of buried it. You buried it in your house, you buried it in the land you had, you buried it in the floorboard somewhere, you buried it under the mattress. Some people still do that to this day. But I personally like banks. I don't do it. But back in the day, when you had any kind of money, that's the best place to avoid theft, is you would put it in the ground, or you would put it somewhere in your home that only you knew of. So it came across like she told the story about that, right? We're thinking, okay, yeah, that used to be done. But then she started talking about Sam Bass. Do you know who Sam Bass is? She said it was an outlaw that buried treasure in Texas. And she started showing the newscast about that. And then she sang a little bit of a song like, I found a friend that's all in me, talking about Jesus. But there's some people now, I know they were sitting in that crowd, and I thought about it for a second. when she showed the news and she kind of showed the areas where the different places the money might be. I said to myself, man, if I lived in Texas, I would go by and see if any of those gold coins are still in that ground. Did you think for a minute, like, what's going to happen to the congregation? They're all going, that's a great talk, but I wonder if anyone, I get a metal detector so quick, Resa. I think I really would have. I would have went on eBay and say, how much does a metal detector cost? Just to take a little walk over there to see if I find anything,
See, I feel like I would get one, but then I feel like after a couple of hours, I might be like, I can't find anything. I'm over it.
Yeah.
It's not, something like that has to be dug deep into the ground. So it's not going to be like, oh, you get a metal detector, you can find it. Like, it has to be like a map somewhere.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And so I know that when she first said it, she was just supposed to, she's giving the whole symbolism of there's treasure buried inside of you. That's what she was leading into. Just like they buried riches into the ground so no one could find it, where there's buried treasure inside of our spirits. Christ died, he rose, and then he was buried. And all that he did for us. And Elijah stretched his arms out over the child, just the same way Christ was stretched across the cross, for us. His grace is very sufficient. So I get the symbolism that just like people hide money in the earth, there's things hidden in us, just like people want to dig in the earth and bring that out. Christ wants to bring that stuff out of us, all of our talents, everything that we have going on, and whatever we put out into the kingdom on his behalf, he'll make sure we'll get double the return. That was kind of very poignant for us doing this podcast, because we're not doing this for, fame, accolade, nothing like that. We're doing it just for the purpose of getting God's word out to those that are new and rededicated Christians, and having a community that can start here where we can all talk and be supportive of each other. And so I have no idea if anyone's listening whatsoever, Resa. I have no idea. We have social media accounts, likes, subscriptions, thumbs up. I have no idea if any of that's happening. We're only on our second episode, but I feel pretty good about what we're putting out to the Lord, putting on the altar to him. How do you feel?
I feel good about it. And if somehow, some way, anyone that works for Mariah Carey sees this, I'm a fan, I'm a lamb. Just want to put that out there. Even though, yes, I'm doing it for Jesus, I'm also, if she sees this or someone who works for her sees this, just let her know I said, hey. So.
You don't do shameless plugs on something you're doing for God. I can't believe you did that. You're such a rededicated. See, that's something you have to learn. Grasshopper, you have to learn. You don't do things like that. This is all about, it's like having an award show and we're presenting the best award to God right now. And then you just walked up to the mic and talked about one of his angels on the side, and it's supposed to be his moment. It's supposed to be all glory to him. And he's like talking about something. Don't talk about Gabriel over here. Let's focus on God. But I get it. You've always had a big love for your Lambily family. All of you guys are very close. You're all very connected on social media. So I understand. And there will be probably a lot of Mariah talk out of you, which I'm looking forward to, if it gets her to give us a gospel album. If all of this gets her to get on the radar that people really want her to have a gospel album, I'm all for it. But just stay focused.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. Dr. James went ahead and wrapped up a little bit and said that God has things to establish and strengthen you. He can restore years that you've lost due to maybe a health battle, maybe to a situation. He has it within his capabilities to restore things, which reminded me a lot of the story of Job, how he went through so much, but then in the end, he had so much great rewards, kind of giving him back a return on his investments, like she was saying, and he was better off. I don't know if he was better off, but he was definitely in a better state at the end of the story than he was at the beginning, definitely. So those that are want to listen to that wonderful sermon by Pastor Dr. Cynthia James, please go to TD Jake's platform on YouTube, and it's called A Return on Investment of her sermon. All right. Now, those were some really good sermons this week, Resa. I really hope that people will go to TD Jake's platform on YouTube, but also go to FBC Somerset's platform too. What do you think? What did you think about both?
I definitely think both sermons were really great this week, and people can definitely learn something new that they didn't, or they could apply something in their everyday life from the sermons this week.
What I liked about the sermons was that anyone could get something from them. You know, they were to the point that even a small child all the way to someone that's very elderly, all of us can get something from both of these sermons and apply it in our lives. So I really enjoyed the imagery. Both of them kind of pictured up for us the digging in the earth to find treasure, to being on a rocky boat, but Christ being with us, telling us to be still and rest. I love the imagery of both. Okay, now we get to the part of the show that I love, the screening room. Now, I watch all of the movies that I usually review here on PureFlick. PureFlick is not a sponsor with the Quickness, but I do have a subscription. So I do like to go through their catalog when reviewing movies. Now, this week, I found a movie that just came out, because I know I was doing things in the past, but I found one that just came out this month of May, 2022. It's called Hope Lives. It's a really good little movie. I was shocked at how much I liked it. It made me cry in some places, which is kind of hard to do. I mean, I can be a bleeding heart on a lot of things, but it made me cry in a couple of places. It was written by Anthony Hackett. It was directed by Anthony Hackett. It stars, give me a little moment, because they have a lot of young people in this movie, which I think should be highlighted. So just give me a little second with it. It stars Karen Abercrombie. She plays Mrs. Ryan. She was actually born and raised in Pennsylvania, which is not too far from Jersey. And she has a long list of stage, film, and TV credits to her name. And she recently became a producer. Now, Anthony Hackett not only has written and directed it, he's also stars in it. He plays Peter Ryan. So he's a director, a writer, he's an actor, but he's also the founder of an award-winning faith-based production company, which is called Sunset Friday Entertainment. And he spells Sunset, Sonset, Sunset Friday Entertainment. Sharon Lanner plays Principal Julia. Kyle Arrington plays Marshall. Nicole Paris, Wanda. Chanel Collins plays Maria. Aaron C. Wells plays Darren. India Palmer, she stars as Stephanie. Ham Mukasa plays James. Carl Blaisdell plays Carlson. Erica Lee plays Danelle. Willie Ramos plays Maria's father, Ricardo. Now, like I said, this film just came out and it's already won some awards. It won the 2022 Content Film Festival and Media Summit with 6 awards. They won Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and they have 2 nods for Best Supporting Actress. They had a tie. Isn't that great? And then for the Maryland International Film Festival, they won Best Feature Film. So we're very excited about that. I love the Maryland connection because I was born and raised in DC and my sister lived in Baltimore. So I really appreciate that we have a film that not only just came out, but I also can see ties to the place where, my family used to walk around and be in. So here's the synopsis. And before I go into it, let me preface this by saying this film, we would recommend for 14 plus viewers. No one under 14 should watch this, in my opinion. And hopefully in Resa's opinion when I tell her a little bit about it, because the viewers are going to see scenes of bullying, sudden deaths of a preteen girl and a young high schooler. Okay, and that's the reason why I think people that are a little bit older should watch this. Okay, here's the synopsis. 6 high school students are victimized by harassment, but they join an after-school program for bully victims, and it's led by a man who recently experienced a tragedy due to an act of bullying of his own. Now, the stories of everyone involved in this after-school bullying program, their stories are shared along with the counselor himself, and they begin to unfold and intertwine in a brilliant mix of drama, triumph, comedy, and inspiration. And we'll have the trailer for the movie actually on our website for those that wish to watch it. Hope Lives. Now, the themes that are listed there are for this movie are bullying, friendship, hope, Christian life, inspiration, challenges, and family. I hope you will give it a look. I was very, very touched by the movie. I wanted to name all the young people that are in it because they held the movie down. I know when you see the cover of the movie, you're going to think, oh, it's just, it's a lot of older people in it. They put the youth at the bottom because it's dealing with high schoolers, but don't let that throw you. This movie is all centered around 6 high school students, and high school is hard for a lot of people. Resa, how do you feel about a film on bullying for this week?
I think a film on bullying is actually something that middle schoolers and even high schoolers should watch, just so they can not only they can learn about bullying, they can learn about the side effects of bullying, and they can also learn how to navigate bullying, because unfortunately bullying is a big thing nowadays, and a lot of kids feel like their life is over once they do encounter that. And sometimes they need someone to show them and tell them that it's not the end all be all. And most of the time when someone is bullying you, it's not really about you, it's more so about them and what they're going through. And for them, going to school and making someone feel less than somehow makes them feel better in like some type of weird way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I will say this about the film itself. It did have some places where it made me tear up and cry and get a little, I won't say cry like boo-hoo. It was more like cry like, oh my goodness, kind of cry. Okay. This is one thing I thought. It's not as polished in some places where I would have liked, and that's okay. They have these 6 high schoolers in this bullying, this program for victims of bullying, right? They're meeting, after class at the school, and there's two young people, actually 3, that I think they should have a prequel movie of. So this one's called Hope Lives. They got to have something before, like something like Hope is Dead, Hope is something, as a prequel movie to this. And they should actually feature the one young lady that played Maria. They should feature Carlson, and they should feature, there was another young man, I think his name was James, I'm not sure. He's the one that, he's the young man that was very, very smart. And everyone was getting him to work on their projects and papers and stuff for them in the high school. I think they need to concentrate on those 3 before they ended up in this program. Like, show a movie of that before, because they started peeling off some of the layers, right? Carlson is the only white student of the 6 students. All right. The teacher is Black. The students are Black and Latina. So I think his story needed more than just the cursory, this is what my home life is like, this is some of the bullying I'm experiencing now. I think we need to go further back into how come this young man made it very clear that even though his parents feel a certain way about people of color, that he doesn't. What happened in his makeup? He dropped it out as part of his introduction of himself, and it made me go, oh wow, I want to hear his story. It really made me feel that way. And maybe because I'm a writer, I feel like that. But I was like, yeah, that'll be a great prequel moment. And I picked Maria as the Latina. First of all, I don't like the fact that people they don't get more creative with Spanish names. And there's a lot of Marias. And every time I see there's a character of Spanish descent, it's a Maria. I mean, come on, guys. I didn't like that a little bit. I think he could have worked the writer could have worked a little bit more on making sure there's some authentic Spanish names beyond what we've heard in the past, like just to push himself a little bit. So I think she should have had a little bit of Spanglish. I should have heard some more Spanish words in there. I've heard a couple, especially from her dad, which was nice too. But it's really a lot more of the vernacular than people think. The way they say things and do things, and the culture didn't show up as, it felt like it was a little whitewashed her character a little bit. And the last gentleman, either his name was James or Marshall, I'm not 100% sure. But he's the one that was the very smart student, the smartest kid in all the school, one of them said, right? I wanted to see his story, that how could he get to the point where he could be so shy and so hungry to be wanting to make friends that would use him in this manner. Like what in his background made it okay to help in this way. So I would like to see the curtain pulled back and have a prequel. I think that would be really great. I didn't like the fact that they made it no way that they can go forward with all 6 because of things that happened in this movie. But if they go back in time a little bit, just like Star Wars went back, Resa, I want them to go back a little bit and show me a little bit more about these characters and their parents and their life situation before they got into this program. Would you watch it if they did?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't, and I'm sure if any of the writers are listening, they'll probably take that into consideration about doing like a backstory or like a prequel. To this movie.
I mean, there was only one writer, Anthony Hackett, and if you want to, come on our show, if you want to come to our podcast and talk about, why you did what you did with this film, that'd be great, and I can talk to you about what I think about a prequel and see if you would be even open to that. And if you need some insights to some things that you want to collaborate in some kind of way, I have an email. Just email me. Send it to feedback@withthequickness, or if you got a serious proposal, send it to Angeline @withthequickness. But I want to see that. I want to see these actors come back. They were really, really good, Resa, all of them. And to deal with a subject like bullying is we don't have enough good films about bullying that can really show it in a light that can actually the messages can be absorbed in a way that we can all see ourselves in the characters. All of them did a wonderful, wonderful job. And I give it a thumbs up. I do. Now, before we go, we want to tell you that we still have the segment before the Bema seat available. If you would like to share your story of your Christian experience with new and rededicated Christians, please visit www.withquickness.com and select the Bema seat tab. Right there, you'll see a form that you can fill out to start your virtual interview process with us. You can also email bemaseat@withquickness.com in case you just want to send us a quick email and let us know you're interested in being interviewed on our show. So Resa, once again, we have another one in the can now. This is episode 102, now complete. How do you feel about how we're doing so far?
I think we're definitely making, a very good stride at this point.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get the hang of it. I mean, we probably won't get it really underway till we have all of our segments, actually up and running. But there's no need to wait till everything's perfect to launch out a podcast or anything you decide to do in life. Jesus is in the boat with us, right, Resa? So we're going to just go ahead and ride this. That's what we're going to do. Go ahead and ride this right now. And we look forward to seeing all of you next week. But we also hope you have a really great Memorial Day weekend, because that's when we're filming this, on Memorial Day. So Resa, anything you wish to say to our families that have lost loved ones and are acknowledging them on this holiday?
So I definitely send all of my condolences to all the families that have lost anyone that has served for our country. And I also want to thank those that have served for our country and are continuing to do so to keep us all safe.
I do the same thing too. I mean, we've lost our own in our own family, but we also have many relatives that have served, and we thank you for your service, and we thank you for those that have shed blood for our country and for our lives. So thanks everybody for joining us. We hope to see you next week on With the Quickness. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
I just can't stop thinking about you. I just can't stop thinking about you. I just can't stop thinking about you. I just can't stop thinking